You got to South Carolina at a really interesting time. The Gamecocks had just joined the SEC, and you're an in-state guy. You're from Lawrence, South Carolina. Talk about the recruiting process. What made South Carolina stand out, and why'd you choose to be a Gamecock?
Well, number one, being in-state, and like I was telling you off air, I had family that played here, and it really started. It came down to wanting to play in the SEC, and so at that point, my final three were South Carolina, Georgia, and North Carolina State. Georgia is what they were then. Right. I mean, they're still good, And NC State, I developed a good relationship with Miles Aldridge, who was at that time the linebacker coach at NC State. And I was an inside linebacker coming out of high school. I was like, 245, 250, I had a decent 40 time and loved to hit people. So that was my position, So me and him, we had a good relationship going. And during the recruitment, he ended up leaving North Carolina State and coming to South Carolina. So that was a plus for South Carolina. And then as we got further into recruiting, found out that Georgia really, really wanted me to play offensive line and not defense. Which I did that in high school. I went both ways. I was offensive guard and I was inside linebacker, defensive lineman partly. So once I found that out with Georgia, it was pretty much NC State, South Carolina. And, I was like, hey, I'm an hour down the road. I want mom to come everywhere. So, Gamecocks it is.
Now, like I said, South Carolina had just joined the SEC. Eric, I'm curious, was there much allure? Like, obviously now it's like the SEC, the big bad SEC, by far the best conference in the country. Like, I feel like that's something that more so recently happened, like after 2000. Was that the case back in the 90s where you felt like was that, I guess, kids are choosing school just to play in the SEC? Like, was that a thing for you too, where you're like the opportunity to play SEC ball?
It was just kind of starting, to be honest with you. This is when, I wish I had Chris Alford with me because he's my historian. He just got all the names. It's two defensive tackles for Alabama in '92, and they were just like terrorizing the whole daggone league. So I mean, it was Florida was coming up, of course, with Spurrier just getting in. So everything was starting to pick up. Tennessee was always good, and I had a cousin who was a Tennessee fan, so I was pretty versed in the SEC already and knew that it was one of the best conferences. And then being down the road from Clemson. It was just funny that they didn't recruit me until the very end of the process. I had the coaches came in just like frantic and was like, hey, we don't know how you slipped under our radar, but can you come for a visit? I was like, sure, I'll come, but I'm pretty locked in with these three guys over here. So, that's just kind of how it went down. But yeah, the SEC was starting to become that animal. So it was in the back of my mind playing in the SEC, because that's starting to be one of the major conferences out here. So, yeah.
And you were named freshman All-SEC in 1992, Eric. Obviously had a really good season. I'm curious, did you play – because I'm seeing defensive line on the Gamecock Archives website, which, by the way, shout out to those guys because I get a lot of my stats and all that from them.
He's been doing that a long time.
Yeah, for sure. But I see you were a defensive lineman, 6'3", 230, though. How did you manage at that weight? You bigger than that? Okay, I was like,
I was bigger than that. I was probably 255.
Okay, so you put on some
graduating high school over that summer, and then when I got in the fall camp at that weight, that was the first discussion was, hey, we may move you to outside. But my whole freshman campaign for that summer, I was an inside linebacker. I mean, I was 260 pounds and still running around there playing inside linebacker. So I was locked in. I was like, hey, this is what I am. I'll lose the weight eventually, And then first game against Georgia, I stood on the sidelines and watched Garrison Hurst run a track meet because, we had a lot of inside linebackers. And then one of our outside linebackers got hurt that game. And so that Georgia game, I think, was the only game that I was able to play in that I didn't play in. And so then the next week, coach was like, well, we need some bodies outside linebacker. You're a little bit bigger. Would you mind moving out there? And I was like, hey, whatever. Can I get on the field? And he's like, sure. You're going to play half the game. And I was like, all right, let's move. And so I did outside linebacker for like a game or two. And then one of our tackles got hurt. So it was kind of the same situation. The outside linebacker came back. A tackle was hurt. He was like, would you consider playing tackle? I was like, I played D-line in high school and before, so whatever. Can I get on the field? That's all I want to know is, can I get on the field? And so, I moved down to tackle, and I did that my whole freshman year. And I probably played that whole year at about 260-ish. By the time everything sussed out with losing weight during the season and all that. I probably was about 260 for that whole season. And then the next year, Cedric Bembry, who was our nose guard, lost him last year, rest in peace. But he graduated. And so coach was like, hey, you're putting on weight, you play low, you're quick, you get under people. He's like, would you mind moving down the tackle? And at that time, we were in a 5-man front. So it was pretty much a, 4-3 kind of look, but not a 4-3, a 3-4 kind of look, but it was that 50 front that everybody used to use.
And it sounds like to me, you just wanted to get on the field. Like you didn't.
I just want to be on the field.
Yeah, you didn't care how it was. You just wanted to be making an impact.
At that point, South Carolina could switch me to offense, and I probably would have did it because I just wanted to get on the field. I never wanted to stand on the sideline like I did at a Georgia game and watch people run up and down the field. So I ended up playing nose guard, and I was like, coach was like, "You like that?" And I was like, "I just like to play." The double. He's like,
hit people, coach.
So that was a thing for me, and I kind of take that with me. And so I used that when I was coaching. I had guys that would come in, they were small as Coach Allen. I'd never be able to go, D1 because I'm small. And I was like, dude, I was 262, 270 pounds playing nose guard in the SEC, taking on 320-pound linemen 2 at a time. So don't tell me what you can and can't do,